Hello guys, welcome to Major's Garage. This is Suero Almeida. I'm the crew chief for the Formula 1, Formula 3 and Formula 3.5. Today we're going to see here my lap in Montreal with the Formula 1. So let's go straight away to the first corner. So basically here we can see how I'm trying to bring the car slightly to the middle of the track because there's a slight kink to the right before the actual braking zone. You don't actually need to use it with this car since you're gonna actually start to brake quite late, so there is time for you to be in a straight line here when you start braking, but it makes it a little bit easier. So it's better to just prepare the braking line a little bit earlier, so you can be assured that your car is going to be on a very straight line as soon as you start braking. So this is super important here. Then I'm using as a reference the second part when the tarmac reappears here. So we have grass, tarmac, grass, tarmac. As soon as we get here to the beginning of the second one, I'm starting to brake pretty hard. So as you can see, boom, 100%. I brake pretty hard. I'm waiting a little bit. Because my brake pads are on medium, I can actually stay on 100% for a considerable amount of time. But as you can see, like as let me see here, as soon as I start downshifting, as you can see in 7th gear, I start releasing the brakes. So I'm basically braking full power, 8th gear, and I maintain the brakes. When I start downshifting, 7th, 6th, then I start really releasing the brakes. So trying to turn in here, carrying a decent amount of speed, and then you can see how the car is actually drifting a little bit to the right. You don't need to prepare too much the other one. You can really carry as much speed as possible on the first one, and then only worry about braking for the next one, but without bringing the car too much to the left before the second one. So here, as you can see, I'm basically only braking. I don't have enough time to reaccelerate, so I brake. I'm basically trail braking at this first apex, and then I brake a little bit harder again to prepare for the next one. And then as I change direction and start increasing the steering, my brakes go down again. So I'm actually braking harder here. When I'm changing direction, that's when we have a little bit of grip available to brake more. It's very easy to lock up the front tires if you're trying to brake and turn at the same time. So I'm actually transitioning here. I'm turning and almost not braking. Here I'm basically braking a little bit more, but as you can see, that's when I'm not necessarily turning. I'm transitioning from the left to the right, and then when I'm turning again, as you can see, no brakes. I mean, only the little 1 to 5% brakes to load a little bit more the front tires, so I can have a little bit more rotation. Then a little bit of patience. You have to actually see well how much the car has rotated, and then you want to get back on the throttle to maintain that rotation while pushing the car forward. As you can see, as soon as you see that the rotation of the car has been done a lot, not a lot actually, enough rotation to feel that you can actually accelerate and push the car forward without being too worried about the car being pushed off to the left. So as you can see here, I'm sticking to the inside. I want to rotate a lot because as early as we are on a straight line, the better we're gonna have this exit, because we're gonna be able to put down the power earlier and carry a lot more speed out of this corner. So as you can see, I'm trying to really go to 100%, but we have to really judge how the rears are taking that power application. As you can see, I actually had a scary moment here when I upshifted to 4th. We generally tend to lose the rear at the specific moment we upshift, so be careful with that. It's very, I mean, since we are upshifting so much, it's generally 90% of the cases where you lose the rear are specifically exactly when you upshift. So you have to be super aware when you start upshifting to know that at the moment of the upshift you're gonna have a slight loss of rear. So maybe slightly lifting the throttle could help, or being sure that you're not pulling the car too hard to the side when upshifting under a very, very high amount of power. Now going for the next corner, I'm basically looking at the one. I use the one board as both braking reference and turning reference. So as you can see, I'm actually starting to brake quite early, quite before the one. I brake pretty hard on a straight line. As you can see, I'm really worrying about stopping the car on a straight line for at least 2 downshifts. And when I start churning, you can see how my brakes decrease pretty rapidly, because I don't want to be churning and forcing the front tires with too much churning and braking. That actually wears the tire a lot. So we have to transition very well from the braking to the turning. I want to get a little bit of this curve here, not too much though. And then I want to really put the power down quite early and change direction quite aggressively here. The second one, we're getting a little bit more, as you can see. So it's very important that we know how much we can use. It takes a lot of practice to be experimenting how aggressive you can be here without jumping too much the car, without losing the rear, without upsetting how much power you can apply here on exit. So as you can see, I am lifting while I'm over that curb, but I'm trying to get back on the power as soon as possible, and always worrying about how much the rear can take in terms of throttle. Then we want to stay to the left, stay to the right here, not forcing too much though. You have time to let the car drift slightly closer to the middle of the track, and then to come back and brake very well for the next corner. So as you can see, I have time to align my car, prepare my braking, and then braking really hard. I'm basically pointing my car outwards here because I want to be as close as possible to this wall before I turn in, so I can have a little bit more track usage. As you can see, I'm going towards the white line. I'm actually using the white line at this moment right before I turn. As you can see, I'm basically using the entire white line with my right tires. Downshift to third gear here, quite wide entry. My goal here is to, well, not use this inside part of the curb, but I want to be as close as possible to this little transition here before the inside part of the curb and the grass. We generally miss it a little bit, but just by thinking about having the car close there, you're gonna end up shaping a better line for the exit. And then quite aggressive change of direction, but as soon as I do that, you can see how I'm lifting. As soon as the rear reacts to that change of direction, you have to lift the throttle just to be sure that you're not losing the rear on the change of direction, because we're kind of throwing the rear a little bit here, so it's a little bit dangerous to do that while on a very aggressive throttle. So I'm actually using this curve here, and I'm trying to put the power down, but really patient here because this exit is super oversteery. So as you can see, I'm really progressive with the throttle here, and also you can see that I'm not forcing my front tires with the steering. I'm accelerating, and I'm trying to basically correct the direction of the car and turning the car with the throttle. We want to turn the car with the throttle on exit. So I'm letting the car go wide here. I even end up clipping a little bit the grass here and had to do a slight correction, but it was okay. You can clip the grass if it's very slightly. Going for the next chicane here, as you can see, what I'm doing is I'm trying to align my braking zone to this line here. As you can see, the line churns a little bit to the left. I'm trying to stay on this line. As you can see, before it, I'm already aligned to what will be my braking zone. And then I'm braking super hard as soon as I get to, as soon as I basically touch the white line on the left. So, yep, there you go. And then braking on a real straight line, waiting for the car to stop. And as soon as I start downshifting, I lift the brakes a little bit, very, very slowly. And then I want to turn in from the white line. As you can see, I'm not turning in early and then kind of increasing the steering. I'm really starting to turn from the white line. I want to be at the white line when I start turning, so I can have the best angle possible, the best arc possible. And then I don't want to get too much this curb. This is acceptable how much we got here. So as you can see, it's not a lot. Basically, just enough for the inside tires to fly a little bit. So when they hit the ground, they're not upsetting the car too much. If you get a little bit more than that, what happens is that the rear tires, the left tires also jump a little bit. And on the way down, when you hit the ground, the car can really get very upset and basically spin very quickly without chance of correction. So we have to be very careful not to get too much of this curb. Same thing for this one. As you can see, I'm basically just visiting the curbs a little bit, not really going completely over it. Now coming for the hairpin, waiting for the car to align, being super parallel to the white line, and then I start braking. I maintain the 7th gear, so I don't need to worry about downshifting, and I don't really lose any time by doing that. So as soon as I start braking, you can see how I really maintain it at 100% for a considerable amount of time, maybe half a second, which is actually a considerable amount of time for such a fast car. Then stay on a straight line, downshifting, trying to turn in quite late so I can prepare very well a very good late apex to launch my car into the next straight. You can see that as my speed decreases and I start downshifting, I'm still on a straight line. I'm starting to release the brakes very slowly, progressively, but consistently. And then when I start turning, you can see how my brakes actually go down much more. So a lot of steering lock here. First gear to help the car to rotate, but as soon as I start accelerating at this moment, here you can see that I'm already on second. So I do upshift at the moment. At the moment I need the power to be put down, and the first gear is a little bit too aggressive for this. So I upshift to second, and I'm actually upshifting shortly to third too. So I'm actually short shifting to second as soon as I start accelerating, and short shifting to third a little bit later on the exit. So let's see that full speed again. So braking quite long, very late turn in, first gear to turn in and second gear to get out of the corner, and short shifting to third. Now going to the last chicane, my reference here is the 2 board. I'm actually braking probably 3 cars before the 2. So I'm basically fixing my eyes at the 2, and I'm braking slightly earlier. You can try doing some 5 to 10 to 15 laps, and you will start feeling how much is enough. You need to really brake super hard here. As you can see, I'm braking 100%. I downshift to 4th gear. I turn in, and then I downshift to third. I don't want to get too much of this curb because of the same reasons of the previous chicane. We don't want to upset the car by lifting all 4 tires and then coming down, because then the car becomes very uncontrollable. So I'm just being a little bit aggressive. For a Formula car, that's a little bit aggressive. And then I'm already accelerating in between both apexes, but not to 100%. I'm really gentle with the throttle, waiting for the car to do the corner and changing direction quite aggressively here. Boom, as you can see, I want to be very precise on the change of direction, so I can then from here really churn the car a lot with the rear tires by accelerating quite aggressively. As you can see, my car is really rotating a lot because of that. And then I can carry a lot of speed for the start finish line. All right, so that's it. Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and I see you next week. Bye bye.